Hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, it's so great to have you. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you enjoy the show. Well, we're going to highlight Outfilm CT today, which you may recall was here last year, and Wendy Peak, the Vice President of Outfilm CT, is my guest today. And Wendy, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate your time.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Well, what I like to do in the show before we get started, which you and I talked about briefly before we started taping, is that I'd like to introduce you to the guests. So why don't you take us back into your background? Let us get to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. I am by training a college professor. I taught at Stonehill College in Easton, Massachusetts for many years and retired from there recently. And then that gave me time to work and volunteer for Outfilm CT and to put together the film festival that I had been attending for many years. As a professor, I would often go to the film festival and look for films that I could use in my classroom. And so it's just been a delight for me to now be the vice president of this terrific organization.
So that's a good question that everybody is probably thinking, what on earth is Outfilm CT? So if you could take some time, tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, so Outfilm CT is the organization that every year organizes the Connecticut LGBTQ Film Festival, which has run every year for 38 years. And Outfilm CT began back in the 1980s. It was an outgrowth of a group called Alternatives. And this group formed in the late 80s as a way to present a more well-rounded view of LGBTQ people, something countering negative stereotypes that had emerged in the early 80s. And so out of this group of community leaders, they formed a literary magazine, they did some theatrical works, and they started a film festival. And 38 years later, we're the only part that's still left, and we're thriving. So we're very grateful for the work of Alternatives in creating Outfilm CT.
Outfilm CT, now you're based out of the Hartford area. Tell us about that location.
Yes, that's correct. We show most of our films at the beautiful Cine Studio Theater, which is on the Trinity College campus in Hartford. But we do also take our role as being a Connecticut film festival very seriously. So we've worked to partner with other theaters around the state, as in Bethel and New London, to expand our reach and to visit those parts of the state for people who don't want to drive all the way to Hartford. But our home is Hartford. Our home is at Cine Studio, Trinity College.
So the film festival itself, I've received an email about it. It's a week long. There are things that are happening. Tell us what happens during the festival.
Yeah, so the film festival this year is running from June 20th through 28th. And in addition to showing films, we have a number of events, such as we have an opening night party, we have a closing night party. Our closing night is going to be at the beautiful Connecticut Science Center. And those parties, we have DJs, we have food, we have drinks. It's very much of a social atmosphere. We also have receptions during the week, sometimes before and after films. And then another feature of film festivals is that we often have creatives who worked on these festivals, directors, writers, sometimes the actors will show up and make appearances. They'll do Q&As with us. They'll get their photographs taken with audience members. They'll sign posters. I think one of the things that people miss, if you've never been to a film festival before, and I didn't start going to them, until I was older, but I just love the atmosphere of them. It's not just like going to the movies where you get your popcorn and your ticket and you just sit down, you don't talk to anybody. These are very much events where people socialize, they're gregarious, the films are introduced by somebody usually. There's lots going on. We sell merchandise related to the festival, we try to have vendors there. So it's a whole kind of, atmosphere of a festival. That's why it's called a film festival. It's lively.
People are probably saying it sounds wonderful. Why aren't there more festivals that you are putting on throughout the year, or are there festivals in general that are year-round?
Well, a festival is a lot of work. I will say that. We are a volunteer organization. So, as in the words of Tennessee Williams, we depend on the kindness of strangers. We depend on people volunteering their time to watch the films and then organizing all of this. So, there are various film festivals around the country in different times, and you can go visit them. But it is a lot of work. And I will also mention, in the time that we are not actually showing the films for the festival itself, we then are spending the rest of the year watching all the movies that are submitted to us and vetting them to see if they should be in the festival. So we have a lot of work year-round vetting all the submissions.
Well, that's a very good question. I was going to ask you, what is your year like? How does somebody who has a film that may be of interest to the festival submit themselves to you?
Excellent. I'm so glad you brought that up. So on our website, outfilmct.org, there is a portal, and you can click on a link. It says submit your film. And there's a way that filmmakers who have a film can upload the film into that portal. And that's how we get most of our films, is directors saying, I would love for my film to get exposure at a festival. I'm going to submit it to the film festival and see what happens. That's the way we get most of our material. Sometimes we invite people to submit films, but really it's just filmmakers saying, I think my film is a good fit here, and I'm going to upload it there. So we give an end date. We say everything for the 2025 festival has to be submitted by a certain date. And then, in the last day, we get a flurry of people sending things in, and we get a lot of films at the end. So this year, as I said, we got 707 films.
Now, how many people do you have on your committee? That's a tremendous amount of films to watch. Do you watch them from start to finish, and it takes all year round for 700 films?
Pretty much. So the way it works, since we're a group, there's about 30 people on the viewing committee. There's a hardcore group of 10. And a lot of people will watch the films and then just send in their reviews, but we do have weekly meetings. So the way it typically works is our director will give us homework. He'll select a slate of films every week, maybe 5 feature films, a couple of documentaries, and 8 to 10 short films. And he'll post them all, and we can all go watch them on our own. We take notes, we upload our notes into a program that collects and averages our responses. And then we meet together once a week and talk about those films, evaluate them. Sometimes people change their minds and they say, oh, I didn't think of it that way. I'm going to change my vote on that film. So doing that every week ensures that every film gets watched by multiple members, if not by every member of the 30, and that every film is fairly evaluated. And yes, we do watch the films all the way through.
The films that get submitted to you, are they all LGBTQ in their format? Is that what this is all about?
Well, yes. So one of the things that we look for when we're picking films is we say, if a person were going to an LGBTQ film festival, is this the kind of film they would expect to see? And then we hope that the people who submit films also use the same criteria. But sometimes they don't. So sometimes we get films submitted to the portal that are clearly not what we're looking for. It may be that, they'll say something like, oh, one of the people who worked on this is a lesbian. But the film itself has no content that relates to, gay or lesbian life. So then we say, thank you very much for submitting, but not this year. So that's generally what we're looking for, something that relates to some aspect of gay and lesbian life. It doesn't have to be in the US, it can be from all, around the world. This year we're showing films from 28 countries, which is just extraordinary. But that gives people, that tells stories that come from that community. That's what we're looking for.
And that's very interesting that you're mentioning that there's an international flavor to this. Is the festival well known around the world that people will want to submit their film to it?
We hope so. A number of the submissions we get are from film schools. So we know that film schools are putting this on the radar of their students, saying, you might want to try this. In fact, this year, two of the directors who are coming out to join us for Q&As are both coming from Brazil. We get a number of films from Brazil. So, and our opening night film, we have a co-writer who is flying in from Ireland to be with us. So we do get a lot of films from around the world. And I think, to me personally, what is fascinating about that is it's almost a travel guide to, what is life like for LGBTQ people in many different parts of the world, looking in African countries, in Muslim countries, in European countries, South American countries. It's like a travel guide of a sort that you don't usually see.
Okay, let's hold that thought and take a break. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You're tuned into Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Get a text message claiming you own a fine for not paying a toll? You're not alone. Better Business Bureau has received 800 scam tracker reports of a fake toll collection scam targeting both drivers and non-drivers across the country. One man in New York used a debit card only to have scammers take $1,600 out of his bank account. Avoid this scam by double-checking your actual online account to see if you really owe money. Remember, government agencies will never text you a bill. If you get a message like this, don't respond. Just swipe and delete. Report this and other scams to bbb.org/scam tracker.
You matter.
You matter.
You matter.
And your words matter too.
Your words matter.
What you say in the hallways at school or in the student section at a game matters.
Words can be hurtful.
Words can be offensive.
Words can leave scars.
Words can also inspire.
Support and uplift.
You and your words.
Are they both important?
As a matter of fact, yes.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, I hope you're enjoying the show. We're talking about Outfilm CT today, and my conversation continues on with Wendy Peak. And Wendy, we had talked briefly about the website, outfilmct.org. Let's talk about it a little bit more fully. What will the viewer find when they visit it?
Well, I didn't build the website, so I can brag about it, but I'm always impressed by how much information is there and how accessible it is. So right when you go into the website, you're going to see information about the festival. You can click on many links there to buying tickets and passes. You can explore the program. You can find the program book. I really think it's great to explore the program. And so if you do that, what you'll do is you'll get a little search bar, and then you type in, maybe you remember the name of a film you kind of heard of. You can type that in and see if it's there. But they're also arranged by theme. So maybe you're interested in animated films. You click on the little link that says animation, and then every animated film we show pops up. There's a description of it. There may be a trailer for it. It tells you when it's shown or if it's streaming, because we do also have streaming films. And there are many different themes that you can click on to, follow your interests and put together the film program that best appeals to you.
Well, that's a really good question of the films that you'll be showing this year. How have you decided what you will show? Maybe we should even say, what will you be showing this year? Are they documentaries? Are they dramas? What is your film that will be best to be seen?
Yes, that's great. So we have, I think, our first, every letter of LGBTQ is represented in this festival. We're very concerned to have representation of many different kinds of groups, but that also means we want to have representations of different film genres as well. So we do have feature films, we have dramas, we have comedies, we have romantic comedies, we do have a full-length animation film. And this has been an especially strong year for documentaries. Especially documentaries about inspirational women. For example, if I may mention one, I'm really excited about a film that we're showing Sunday evening, that's Sunday, June 22nd, called Row of Life. It's a film produced by UConn basketball star Sue Bird, And it's about a woman who is a Paralympian open sea rower. I mean, this woman actually gets in a boat by herself and rows across the ocean. And she, won multiple medals and went to lots of places. And this particular documentary, Row of Life, follows her as she embarks on an open sea row alone from Los Angeles to Hawaii, fighting those winds, fighting those currents. It's incredibly inspirational. And the thing I also like about this film is that not only does it show in the theater on Sunday, but it's also available streaming after that. So people want to go to our website and, watch something from home. They can, again, go look up Row of Life and you'll see a link to where you can buy a ticket to stream it in your own home.
And there might be some people that say it sounds very interesting. Not only do I want to go, but I would like to participate in what is decided, or how do I get involved? How does somebody become a member of the committee to be able to participate like you do?
We're always delighted to have volunteers. And so again, our website is, the place to go. You'll see a link there to how to become a volunteer. There'll, be an email that you can just write and tell us what your interests are, your availability, and someone will get back to you, our volunteer coordinator, and set it up for you. So yes, we really welcome volunteers. It is a fun job to watch these films. There's a little bit of excitement to see things that before anybody else has seen them. So we do welcome volunteers.
Money. Do you secure grants, or how is it that you're funded to be able to have a week-long festival that everybody can attend? Probably you have people from around the world that may fly in and want to come and see it.
So you're absolutely right. We have a grant writer who helps us secure grants. The community here is very good to us. There are many organizations in Connecticut who support what we do and recognize our longevity. Again, this is our 38th year, and that we do a good job of representing the best of LGBTQ film. And again, because we're a volunteer organization, we keep things, mean and lean as we move forward. But I think when you come to the festival, it doesn't feel like we've pinched too many pennies. I think you'll have a good time.
If we go back to the beginning, when there were many things that it was offered by alternatives, did they ever think that the film festival was going to last this long?
I really don't think so. From what I have heard about those early years, there was not a lot of attendance at the film festival in the early years. And some of the films were very experimental, not as polished as the films that we see today. So I think there was a real sense of this might be our last year, and then it kept coming back. But then we got some strong, program directors who came in, and some, kind of famous people came. Barbara Hammer is an early filmmaker, lesbian filmmaker who was very powerful. Quentin Crisp, the British writer, he actually came over to talk about the film based on his memoir. And all of a sudden, there was a sense that we are here, the festival is going to continue year after year, and it's just, getting bigger and better. And we're delighted to have also survived the pandemic, which, was a struggle for many film festivals and many movie theaters, frankly.
Now, what happens once the festival closes at the 28th of June, I believe you mentioned? Forgive me.
So that's the end of our theatrical showings. So we have our closing night, movie, which is called Perfect Endings, the perfect ending to our festival. But streaming options continue through July 6th. So not all of the movies stream, but the ones that do are available to watch at home through July 6th. So that's an extension of that.
I'm glad you corrected me on that. So what happens when everything stops and everything is over? Do you start again by film submissions and start watching them again?
Exactly. Usually we take, a big rest, a long nap, and then the portal opens again and film submissions start coming in and we start watching it. But usually as a group, we don't have group meetings again till the end of the summer. But people can watch, on their own if they want to get a head start over the summer. So we kind of, take a deep breath when the film festival's done, maybe watch a little more, but, just like a good college student, we get back to work in the fall.
What does the future look like for the festival? I mean, you're in your 38th year. Have you thought about year 40 or year 45? Do you think you'll keep going?
I think so. As I said, being a volunteer organization, you're really reliant on who shows up and who stays. I think we have a lot of committed volunteers who are going to stay. And, we are working hard also to bring younger people in who want to do work in this way and want to contribute to the community. So we are very hopeful about the future. We're really looking forward to 40 in 2 years and already planning special events around that big number for us. But, I should say that it's a time when some smaller film festivals are facing difficulties in financing and volunteers. And you may know that the number of people volunteering in the US has been dropping over the last decade. So we recognize the struggles ahead of us, but I think we have a good camaraderie and good faith in the future.
That's a good question or a good point about volunteering. The whole organization that is part of this volunteers, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's kind of amazing. I have to say, I am humbled to see how much people give in terms of their hours, their time, their attention to this organization. It really, gives you a lot of faith in humanity to see the dedication of people who work for nothing except, a good feeling about what they do.
The films that are being submitted this year to the festival, have you found anything outstanding that changes your thought as to what's been performed in the past or what your thoughts are or what's coming in the future? Anything that's outstanding this year that really surprised you?
I will say, I think one of the things that's really interesting is out of these 707 films, many of them are short films, right? So short films can be anywhere from, we're showing one that's 3 minutes, it's adorable, to films that are 40 minutes. That's, anything under an hour is a short film. And in the past, films about lesbians had tended to be very dour and very sad and a little depressing. And this year we were overwhelmed with comedies. And it was a complete delight. So we have on Tuesday night, and that's Tuesday, June 24th, we have a lesbian shorts night called I'll Have What She's Having. And they're all comedies except for one of them. And they're really funny. And that is another program that's going to be available streaming after we show it in the theater. So if people are interested in a laugh, and who isn't these days, that's a great program. So that was one thing that surprised me, was to see these great comedies coming down the pike.
Well, we are slowly starting to run out of time. Are there any closing thoughts that you have for the viewer? Anything that you would like them to know about the festival?
I will just reiterate some things I said, which is, if you haven't been to a film festival before, I recommend that you come just to experience it. You don't have to interact if you don't want to, but you might really enjoy it. You don't have to be a member of the LGBTQ community to come. Everybody comes to this film festival because they like the movies. That's, quality is always the big thing in our selection process. And if you haven't been to the Cinestudio Theater in Hartford at Trinity College, you should come. It is gorgeous. We just had a filmmaker in last month, and he said, "You get to watch movies here all the time? Lucky people." So come just to see the beautiful interior of Cinestudio Theater, if for nothing else.
And tell us again what the dates are.
So June 20th through 28th for in-theater showings, and streaming options run through July 6th.
Okay. Well, Wendy, it's been such a pleasure to have you. Thank you for taking time out to share this with us.
Thank you so much for having us. It was a delight.
Okay. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You've been tuned into Arts and Entertainment. In case you need to reach me, I'm at artsandentertainment@mail.com. Well, I hope you have a super day today, and I hope, as always, that you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.